So, as you know, I go to the American Prospect all the time. And there was an interesting article that was entitled The Trade Policy We Need. Trump's on again, off again tariffs are incoherent, but that should not discredit targeted tariffs paired with investments as a policy lever. And we're grabbing Lori Wallach, who is the director of the Rethink Trade program at the American Economic Liberties Project. She is a director of Rethink Trade program. She is also a senior advisor to the Citizens Trade Campaign, the U.S. National Trade Justice Coalition of unions and environmental consumer, faith, family, farm, and other groups. She's a 30-year veteran. She was named to Politico's 50 list of thinkers, doers, and visionaries. In other words, she's hot stuff. But before I grab you, Lori, I open my show with some opening thoughts. But my first opening thought, I think, needs to be repeated because in so many ways it really tees it up for our interview. And this was someone who said, you want to understand Trump on tariffs? I'm going to give it to you. Here we go. Tariffs are non-negotiable. Negotiable, but not a negotiating tactic. They are permanent until they are paused, but they'll never be paused until they are paused, which means they increase. Permanent exemptions already announced are temporary, but nothing has been announced. There you go. Trump on tariffs in a nutshell. And I'm reading this going, oh my God, nothing has ever been so true in what was written. So let me welcome you to the program. And thank you so much for someone who has this really key understanding of this tariff policy, not the policy of Donald Trump, but what we have done with our trade policy. I think it's really important for us to both hear from your level of expertise and take us back to things like the 1990 fights over NAFTA and WTO so that we understand where we were before that and where we are now. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much for including me in the conversation.
Oh, it's great. So we know we're in chaos, but that's intentional on the part of Donald Trump. Donald Trump doesn't, I mean, he likes the word tariff. I'm not sure he's sophisticated enough to understand it. I'm not sure he knows how to implement it. I don't think he matters. I think he wants to be chaotic, not only in the US stage, but on the world stage, because that feeds his ego and sense of power. But in the end, that's not good for America. That's not good for the world. Because in the end, we need to make things. We need to consume things. We need to figure out how we make them in the most efficient way. We also need to understand that you don't want to be vulnerable, given the fact that the world is not stable. So take us back to where we were prior to NAFTA and WTO. And then explain to us what happened with that flight of the manufacturing sector. And if you were president for a day, what kind of trade policy would you envision that would make sense for where we are at this moment, where the world is at this moment, and also understanding that we're not just talking about bringing manufacturing back, we also have to recognize that the world is divided between different tensions, the EU, China, the United States, Latin America, that it's not just who makes things, it's also the politics behind what they make and why.